Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar. The Practical Guitarist Podcast is brought to you by Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Great Lakes Guitar Pickups provides fantasy tones at prices a practical guitarist will love. Featuring top-notch construction, attention to detail, and a fully custom product, if you can dream it, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups can probably build it. Follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/Great Lakes Guitar Pickups. Are you a regular listener? Why not? David here reminding you of all the ways you can participate in the Practical Guitarist Podcast. Subscribe using your chosen podcast app. Review us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Google Play. Find our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Practical Guitarist or on Twitter as @PractGuitarist. Support the show. Merchandise is available in our Threadless store at practicalguitaristpodcast.threadless.com. And donate to us via Patreon, available at patreon.com/practicalguitarist. Reach out to us directly via email at questions@practicalguitarist.com. Hi, Jim.
Hi, David. We're recording early tonight. I've got a lot of energy.
Yeah, no shit, right? Like,
you caught me in the middle of doing those fast runs.
You look like you look like you're doing some aerobics or something. You got the sweatshirt on.
I'm actually heading for the gym right after this.
Oh yeah, all right.
But I talked to my son. He goes, "Well, if you're gonna go,
I'll go
I said,
too.
Do you want to go?" And he's like, "Or if you go, I think that's a bet. I think it's a dare."
It's like, if you go, I'll go. Isn't that a line from Backdraft?
I don't think he thinks I'll go.
That's the line from Backdraft, right? He's holding the hand. He's like, if you go, I go.
I go. Yep.
Hey, Jim, can I ask you a question? Ooh. Did you check that door for heat?
Not yet, but believe me, there are days. There are days when a teenager is out in the garage lighting candles all night.
Yeah, then you do want to check that door for heat. You might want to check that door for weed.
Well, no comment from this peanut guy.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's legal. Anyway.
We can say it's legal. It will be soon anyway.
Yeah. Well, in Virginia. Yeah.
Oh, is it there?
I think. I don't know. I think it just got passed.
Maybe.
I'm bonehead. All right. So, music. Let's talk about some fucking guitar stuff, man.
Is there guitars?
I am so stoked. First of all, a little bit of news. Hold up. Had to cough. I wanted to mute myself. In guitar news,
yeah, shit.
Paul Reed Smith has announced a semi-hollow version of the PRS CE.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. I'm just like, okay, now what have I got to do to get one? So next year I'll have to get one.
This is one of the few instruments that I think I kind of want to wait and see the track record. Because in general, like anytime you make something semi-hollow, I get kind of leery about, longevity, and just because there's less wood in it and there's less structural stability. I don't think it's going to be an issue with a CE.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, man, what if that neck humps or something? Like, it's a lot of guitar to have a neck hump in.
If you think about it, so first of all, Paul Reed Smith's track record with semi-hollows has already been pretty much proven.
Yeah. So, but that difference is bolt-on construction versus set.
That is correct. And that's exactly what I was going to get to. So we have the difference in the bolt-on construction. I will admit that we'll see Sweetwater time next year because that's my target time frame.
And the thing is, like, I don't know. I'd have to play one versus an SE24 semi-hollow.
Yeah, that's
because I've played the SEs, the semi-hollows, and they're really good.
Yes, they are.
They are
very good.
So
it's, again, I will say that Paul Reed Smith has probably got one of the better budget lines. Now, of course, their quote unquote budget line
starts at $500. So
yeah, So, and that's their budget end of the budget line. So it's not like they have a Squire line, which I don't think they're interested in getting into that. But anyway, let's move along. That's what I'm excited about, and that's what I'm interested in.
I got one thing I want to say because my coworker, I came in this morning and he was asking. He's like, "Well, you play guitar. My son is playing guitar. He's in college, and he wants a small amp to take for him to the dorm, and like an electric guitar because he's only got an acoustic right now. He wants something he's not going to annoy his cellmates with. I mean, the people that stay with him in his dorm or apartment or wherever he's at. So I told him, I didn't skip a beat. I looked at him, I said, Katana. I said,
Katana.
Boss Katana.
One of the Katana line. I don't care which one.
Headphones. I mean, I said anything from the mini on up to the 50 watt would be adequate for practice.
Absolutely.
And
if it's only for the dorm room and he's not going to, now, if he thinks for a minute that he's going to start a band with his
the 50 or the 100
playmates.
Yeah.
Oh, he's out on the playfield.
No, cellmates.
Yeah, his cellmates. Then I would definitely get 100, but otherwise I would just stick to Now the beauty of the 100-watt head is obviously if you have the money, is the fact that you've got that little speaker, you've got the headphone out.
Nice. But it is $350. So,
but if you get the 100. You still have the 25 or the 12-inch speaker, and you do have headphone out.
Oh, it's a 5-inch speaker inside, but yeah.
Oh, it's a 5-inch speaker for the 100.
Yeah, but it's reasonable. I took it to a rehearsal, and I used the 5-inch speaker, and I didn't even think about it the entire time I was there because we were playing at low volumes, and I was just
Isn't
like, all right, huh?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's nuts. I honestly, when I left, I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even bring a cab. It's like, it just dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, I just got through a whole rehearsal without a cab.
I do.
So, the other thing was he's like guitars, and he's like, well, I think he's kind of looking at a hollow body. So immediately, what do I think? I go, do you know Blues Boy? Like that was the first thing that entered my head, like tribute Blues Boy. You know what?
Yeah, and right now there's a Blues Boy on special at Guitar Center. Today only, obviously.
Oh, so you get the one with the crappy hardware. No thanks. Anyway, so I was thinking, Blues Boy would be great. Well, by the way, what is the stupid deal on that?
$300.
Yeah, see, they're usually $500, so they're doing something to cut that price. But anyway,
I don't know. It's the same one they sell for $500 every day, so it's got to be. I don't know.
I don't know.
It would be hard for me. Line better than me.
It would be hard for me to believe that that's the same hardware. I think the pickups are probably the same, but the same hardware as what you're getting in your typical run of the mill one. But anyway, I didn't say that because he goes, well, he's kind of looking at a Les Paul, and I'm going, well, he's kind of looking at spending a lot of money if he wants a good one. I just shut my mouth.
Semi-hole Les Paul, even in the.
Dude, if you told me right now I had to buy a budget Les Paul, I walk right into the store and I buy a PRS single cut.
Yep.
To hell with Epiphone. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No. Because by the time you pull the pickups out and pull the hardware off that you want to replace, you're into the SE line.
Well, and I know the single cuts are not the fanciest guitars in the world, the SEs, but they're not the same as Les Paul. But they're close enough for me.
No, but it depends on which single cut you look at.
Yeah.
In the SE line.
So anyway,
the standard is pretty basic, but it sounds awesome. And for $500, you're getting everything you need.
Right. So night after tomorrow night, I will be at my first death metal show. I'll be seeing Cannibal Corpse.
Wow.
I was initially under the impression the venue would be going to, have a place where I was not involved in the pit. And I'm not really sure that that's true anymore.
You're not really built for the pit.
I
More
don't
of an
feel
age that should be in the pit.
Jim, I think it would probably surprise you how much punishment I could inflict on someone. The problem is it would probably surprise me how much punishment I could inflict on someone.
People will inflict upon you. That's the thing I would be scared of.
I'm not so much worried about that as so much worried about putting other people in the hospital because I'll be the sober one. But that being said, I will be on the fringes of that environment. I do not want to be involved in that. That is not my thing. I don't go to concerts to get my ass beat.
No.
Because even if, frankly, yes, if you get in the pit, you're going to come out with bruises. Like, don't act like you're going to walk away unscathed, because you will. But, the question is, how much damage do you inflict to others? And if I flail wildly like some of these pits that I've seen before, some people going down, because I got a lot of weight to throw around. So the question is, will I have a heart attack and have to be EMT'd out of there? But no, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. It's going to be really entertaining. I'm going with Dan Kish and a good friend of mine, Dan Hanna. So looking forward to that. And we'll have a report on that next week, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So Cannibal Corpse. Yep.
Cannibal Corpse.
It'll be a lot of it'll be great.
You know what's almost sad when you think about the death metal, the surge of death metal, bands like Gwar and stuff like that.
Oh, I don't think Gwar's really death metal, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. How about Ghost?
Ghost is definitely not death metal.
No,
Ghost is like Black Sabbath.
Well, what's black metal?
Black metal.
Is black metal close to death metal?
Yeah, they're kissing cousins.
Okay.
They're kissing cousins. It's so terrible. It's so terrible to say. No, so like I see like they're different. So black metal, death metal, extreme metal, they're all very similar in their brutality, but they have distinct differences. Like extreme metal tends to be the one that has like the high screeching vocals, if I recall correctly. But I would say I mean, of the bands that I've been introduced to, I mean, Cannibal Corpse is one of the ones I really like, and my understanding is they're an American death metal band. So, but I was trying to think who's the other band. Entombed is the other one I like, and they're Swedish death metal.
Who's that?
Entombed.
Yeah,
I believe it's Swedish death metal. I believe. All right,
Swedish. What would you say? How long would you say that Cannibal Corpse has been around?
A long time, like 20 years. Possibly longer.
How many?
20 years, possibly longer.
Yeah. So when you think about it,
1988, Jim.
Death metal is classic rock.
Yes, no, it is, and that's what's funny is like we've gotten around to the point where bands like Cannibal Corpse and really any of these like fringe super metal groups, because I mean that's what these guys are. They've survived. They've weathered the storm.
Rob Zombies, and
Cannibal Corpse, like Morbid Angel, and a lot of these older bands have been around for a number of years now, and they're basically like bordering into classic rock at this point.
Well, when you think about it, I was looking at a 1990 something issue of Guitar One, and it had Marilyn Manson.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about it. That's
he is classic rock now.
Yeah,
he is classic rock now. And so, the funny thing about him, so Dan Kish is a big Manson fan, of my understanding. I don't really perceive Manson's music as being metal. I would say more like gothic rock.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put it. When I first heard, I'll be honest with you. So obviously, I'm older. I have a different perspective. But when the first time I saw or heard Marilyn Manson, my guys who worked for me on the ship. I think it was was it USS Peterson? Yeah, it was the Peterson. These guys came in. It might have been on the Mississippi. Anyway, it had to be the Peterson. It was mid-90s, right? That's about the time he broke. Early to mid-90s.
Yeah.
So, like 94, this would have been about 94 when I first heard him. And I thought, what is this crap? I look back and there's some good stuff. But I love the Dope Show record at that time. Yeah, I listened back and I really like some of that stuff. I just think that some of it was just too much for me at the time. My classic rock brain, Henry. When you think about it, what I listen to is not classic rock anymore. It's oldies.
Yeah, your shit. Your shit's like. It's like crustacean rock. I mean, it's that barnacle shit that used to grow on the ships you'd work on.
Hendrix is in that category.
I know, dude. Hey, I'm not. I have no problem admitting that I listen to crusty rock. Barnacle rock, if you want to call it.
It's not dad rock anymore. It's grandpa rock.
This is like dead in the grave rock, okay?
Right.
When 60% of your audience has like passed on.
Oh, yeah. When I look around me and the number of I know that I've seen more days than I'm going to see. And it's scary for me to look into the future, believe me. But anyway, I was thinking about that today. So when Jay Wells posted the thing about Kiss, right? You mentioned Kiss last episode.
No, let's just say what it is. He said Kiss sucks.
Yeah, he said Kiss sucks. Which is, by the way, Jay, we're not. You have your right to your opinion, even if it is wrong. I'm just joking. You have your opinion. We have ours. And David has his.
I have mine. I'm keeping my cards close to the chest.
I don't think David is a big Kiss fan. But I'm gonna give you something from a kid that grew up in the Kiss era. So Kiss released its first album, or their first album, when I was like 8 or 9. So when they had their lunchboxes and stuff, I had a Kiss lunchbox.
Yeah.
I had the little Kiss figures, right along with my Star Wars figures, right? My Luke Skywalker, my Darth Vader had to contend with Gene Simmons and, Paul Stanley. It was like, oh, no, Darth Vader.
I think ours, Ace Frehley as Starman would probably fit that better.
Yeah. Ace Frehley, the space
yeah,
Ace.
I thought he was in the cantina scene. Come on.
Yeah, so, yeah, he might have been. Who knows? He was probably playing the riff. But when you look at the videos, I posted a video today on Jay's little rant. And I want to get to something as far as what he was ranting about, because he has a point, but I want to say that there's another point to it. There's point, counterpoint. I'm going to go counterpoint here. But anyway, so when you watch that video, if you click on the time that I posted, you've got Gene and Peter kind of doing a bowing thing while Ace is on his knees doing this guitar solo thing, and it's just like they are bowing to Ace's.
Yeah,
awesome
and they were their shows were extremely choreographed, and so
yes, of course,
you're watching something that everybody who went on to that tour saw.
It was consistent. It was like going to. I mean, I hate to say it now as an older person, but it was like going to McDonald's. You knew what a burger was going to taste like. That was the whole idea of McDonald's, by the way. The whole franchise was if you went to a burger joint in Iowa, it was going to say this taste the same as California, as New York, as Florida. It wasn't going to have any difference in the ingredients in it. And that was a Kiss show. When you went to see them, you knew that during Detroit Rock City, they were going to do a certain thing. During whatever. And you knew that if you were on that tour and Rock and Roll All Night was closing a show, Rock and Roll All Night was going to close every show. And you could talk to your friends and go, man, did you see that? Oh, yeah, I saw that show in here. And I can do that 25 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, and still go to my friends and go, man, remember that show? Oh, yeah, I saw it in New York City. Exact same show.
Yeah. Well, so now I get that whole aspect of it. So like, here's where, and I'm not playing devil's advocate completely, but I am going to play some devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Cause I find myself more on Jay's side of the argument. Not that they suck, but that what they did was not exactly the same thing as what everybody else was doing, in the sense that, if I wanted to go see a show like Kiss, I could have seen Kiss, or I could have gone to a musical, and that is the sense that this is musical theater, and so that's why it's got to be programmed out the way it is, and that doesn't make them suck. It's not really the performance aspect that's not the issue there. I think Jay's big argument is that he doesn't like them as human beings. And
okay, that's where I was going to go next. That was my
segue.
So let's segue into that. It's a perfect segue. So a lot of people have cut down on Gene and Paul for their take on Ace and Peter. Now, whether you listen to Gene and Paul or you listen to Ace and Peter, everybody has this argument. They were too stoned and too drunk to know what was going on, and they weren't useful. If you watch some of I've got the the Kiss Vault thing, where they have every single interview, every single one. It's not like they're cherry picking and going, let's leave these good ones out. Let's put these bad ones in. Ace was so drunk, they didn't know what was going to happen during an interview.
Yeah.
He was break into stuff and then later go, I don't know what was going on.
You know who he reminds me of in his behaviors? Ozzy Osbourne. When they'd have to literally, Ozzy would be so drunk before a show, partially because the band got him drunk, because he wouldn't go on stage unless he was half hammered.
Yep.
They'd throw him in a closet and lock the door and leave him there until it was time to go on stage, because they were afraid he's going to run off. I mean,
yeah.
Or the story where he got in the elevator and pissed in the potted plant or whatever.
Yeah.
That you can't imagine what dealing with these people on a daily basis would have been like.
That's right.
And Kiss, they probably had watertight contracts, which means they can't just fire these guys.
Well, okay, so in the beginning, people have to remember one thing. Ace and Peter weren't fired. They quit.
Well,
okay?
Yeah.
In the beginning,
it's always I know, but it's always a mutual parting of the ways. That's usually what ends up happening.
But the thing is that, okay, when Peter and Ace first went to leave, that was the whole idea of the solo albums. Hey guys, Bill, their manager, was like, no, let's not break up the family. Take a minute, think about it. Let's do some solo albums. We'll do 4 solo albums. Whose solo album sold the best?
Probably the guys that hired the songwriters, which would have been the 2 key ones, Paul.
No, it was Ace.
Really?
Ace's solo album sold the best, and so they had printed in the spirit of being equal. Everybody's solo albums, if you look, they all look the same on the cover, and yet they had a different hue, and that hue had something to do with, I can't remember what it was, but it had something to do with their image.
Yeah, their aura,
each
right?
Individual image, right? Some kind of aura thing. Back then, people still did dumb shit like that. I'm sure hippies still do it. So they were, each of those individual albums was dedicated to the other members. So, in other words, Aces would have been dedicated to Peter, Paul, and Chris, and Gene,
right?
Right?
Oh, yeah,
and right. So, what happens is, after that, Peter Criss was still too pissy, and he left. And yes, I'm sure they were kind of glad to see him go, but he did leave on his own accord. And he was dating a Playboy bunny or something.
Yeah.
It was all kind of weird, and like Paul said in his book, wait until she finds out she's married to the ex-drummer of Kiss.
Yeah.
So anyway, they parted ways. When the guys came back, this is the big thing that a lot of people are all pissy about. When the guys came back, they were brought back, but a lot of bands do this when they bring people back, because those are the same people that took off before. Now, some of the things that Peter was doing was he was slowing down and speeding up on purpose just to piss him off. He didn't know how to read music. He was the oldest of them all, and he was kind of ticked that, you guys didn't pay your dues. I paid my dues. Just because you're older and you weren't in a popular band until you joined us, that doesn't mean, but we all, and even, the other guys admit this was a band. It was a family. You guys left the family. You divorced us. Now you're asking us to come back. And anyway, the point I'm getting at is when they were brought back, there were some stipulations. They were paid, not like what Roger Waters did to Rick Wright. Rick Wright was paid scale, just like everybody else on the Wall tour.
Which
and believe it or not,
dickish move.
You might think so, but believe it or not, Rick Wright was the only one of the band members to make money. Well, because he wasn't actually a member of Pink Floyd.
Yeah, but that wasn't done. But that was not entering into the equation when they made that decision. The decision was made based on the fact that he wanted to shove him around. And that.
Well, no, it was Roger Waters. Well, he had already left the band. Same thing. Rick Wright, that's keyboard player for Pink Floyd. Those who don't know, had left Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
and to make it right. Roger Waters said, all right, we'll take you on tour, but you're a hired gun.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that I'm sorry, But whose writing credits are on the first, 7 or 8 albums? Like that I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
True, but if you leave, you're no longer.
It's easy to say. Remember, I get it. It's easy to say that from the business side, but no fan will ever accept that that's all those people are. That's just ridiculous.
So when when Ace and Peter came back, they got guaranteed money in the millions of dollars.
Which is why I said like they were a little bit more amicable about it.
Now let's think about this for a minute. They could have been paid scale.
Right.
They could have been paid like Tommy Thayer.
And then they would have been given fuck all.
Right, and gotten shit. But instead, they got millions. And if you think about it, Paul and Gene gave them millions, even though they weren't guaranteed that they would make that money in the end. You got to remember, all your costs come back to the band. People want to go, oh, well, the record company paid for this great video. No, the record company paid for the video up front, but it came out of your money.
Yeah, your dividends, right?
So you paid on it, whether you paid on the front end or paid on the back end, you still paid for it. So anyway, here they are. This is the place I want to come to, though. I was making no money yesterday. I was in a no band, doing nothing, making zero. Now somebody's paying me to play drums, paying me $1 million or more, play drums, and get on stage. And they're not asking me to pay them for costs for the tour.
Now, question, were they getting any royalties?
Oh, yeah, they got royalties for their songs.
Then they were getting paid.
Well, yeah, but they were getting, they got what do they call those? There's another term
it's
for
not
royalties.
Songwriting royalties, but they're getting performance royalties.
Well, they get performance royalties, they get songwriting royalties. Yeah, they get paid. Even according to Ace's lawyer, he gets paid every time Tommy Thayer shows up in public with the space Ace makeup on.
Probably,
which makes sense. But I would, if I was the Kiss guys, I'd gladly pay it because probably a few dollars.
Well, and the reality is they all understand that they have this. Look, there's no animosity between any of those people because they're all part of the. How do I put this? Like the brand that is Kiss now. So even if Thayer is out there doing his thing at these conventions and whatnot, that's helping further the 4 main guys who don't give a fuck about what he's doing.
That's right. And Thayer can sit there. Thayer will make no songwriting credit money. Mm-hmm. Thayer gets nothing. If he doesn't work,
he gets the appearance fee. He gets the appearance fee. That's
right. But if he doesn't appear on a day, he doesn't get paid. I'm sure he's got a
I'm sure his appearance fee is very healthy. Having dealt with speakers and stuff for my line of work, I can tell you that for very little work, they make quite a bit of money.
That's right.
So.
Right, but remember when the money guys. So another band that did this, Bill Ward, when he came back to, was it Sabbath? Right, when Bill Ward came back to Black Sabbath, they did the same thing, and then Bill Ward told him to stick it up his ass.
Well, I think the whole Black Sabbath thing. There's a lot more to that too. There have been various falling outs amongst the members, and I think that was kind of done to basically give him a big fuck you. There's some things. Yes. But
the same thing.
No, Jim, I really recognize it. I do. Yeah. But the thing is, look, here's the difference between Black Sabbath and those other bands and Kiss. Kiss was started as a business from day one. Those guys didn't get up and say, we just want to make some music and have a good time. They said, we want to make some fucking money. And that's the difference here. So
that's right.
Nothing that goes on with this band acting the way that they do is really a negative thing for them because that's what they intended to do. And I will say this, they have been very transparent about how that money is used and who is doing what and where it's all going. So, I mean, yeah, you can say they're douches till you're blue in the face and maybe you don't agree with some of their politics. Like I don't agree with Gene Simmons' history of womanizing, for example.
Oh, yeah, big time.
But that's what I'm getting at. Look, if you're going to make an attack about who these people are, don't make it on their money. Because that's one thing. And I said this in the group. Every band that has had a number one hit or has had, big radio airplay has had discussions about business. You cannot act like you cannot act for a second like any of these bands that you've listened to on the radio have not had those discussions. They are, however, smart enough not to do it in front of the press. So
some of them, Smashing Pumpkins.
Well, they didn't do it in front of the press. That was tabloid shit that got covered. Yeah. I mean, you will never hear Billy Corgan do an interview where they ask him, "Hey, how much did you pay?" What's his face? You
haven't seen his interview with Joe Rogan, did you?
Well, now it's changing because it's 25 years on. So it's like once it's in retrospect, that's a whole other animal. Kiss wasn't talking about the business aspect of it in the beginning either because nobody realized how much fucking money they were making up front.
They did. Well, they didn't really make a lot of money.
They didn't make a lot of money in the beginning. It didn't. In fact, my understanding is they didn't really start making money until they relaunched the band with the whole Todd McFarlane toy line and all that crap.
That's right. So that's right. It wasn't until the toys come out. It wasn't until the real money poured in. Here was the problem. So that was the other side of it. So they well,
you're talking about the original merchandising. I'm saying yes, they made quite a bit of money off that, but it wasn't anything compared to when the adult fans got a hold of
90s
the comic books and all that shit.
The comic books that were done with their blood, the DNA comic books.
Yeah. Because that was totally aimed at adults with money. Like all of that stuff was.
Thank you, Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
rest of soul.
Anyway, I'm done talking about Kiss. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Can we talk about something else?
Let's talk about Billy Corgan.
No, I don't want to talk about him either. I don't want to talk about that loser. No.
Yeah, what a loser.
Okay, he doesn't even have any fucking hair. Bullshit. No, I like Billy. I like Billy's voice. I like Billy's songwriting. I don't like the way that Billy has treated various members of his group. However, I will say this. When Smashing Pumpkins started, it was just Billy Corgan. There was nobody else involved. James Iha and all those other guys, they weren't there. They didn't exist. His first demos were done with like a drum machine and a fucking refrigerator rack full of effects. And that was the beginning of Smashing Pumpkins. So as far as he's concerned, everybody's a hired gun to him. And they always have been. Right. So
and when things started with Billy Corgan, his Joe Rogan interview was interesting because he was recommended by his management to maintain, which he did, to maintain his rights. And he was like, no, I want to make it a family. I want to make it and they were like,
no, don't do that.
In 20 years, you're going to wish you hadn't. So just do it this way. They are the band. You are Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, you are the entity.
And
honestly, that was a very smart decision on the people that were handling him at the time. Because that band could have gone on a completely different trajectory had everybody else been dictating what was going on. Especially at that time in music, there was like that second resurgence of the drug culture and all that, where bands were being devastated by people who just couldn't control themselves. Perfect example is Alice in Chains. Even though the band was great and they had wonderful output, getting some of those takes and some of those songs recorded and getting them out to the masses was a nightmare. Now, so we could talk about Billy, but I think if we want to talk about an asshole, the guy we need to talk about is Trent Reznor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at the laundry list of people he's worked with, right? And then understand that none of those people ever get any writing credit for anything he does. And that none of those people are considered a member of Nine Inch Nails, right? So
no, because as far as he's concerned, he is Nine Inch Nails.
He is Nine Inch Nails because he owns it all. Now, here's the funny part about that, right? So a couple of years ago, he broke up Nine Inch Nails. That was probably more than a couple of years ago at this point. He broke up Nine Inch Nails. In other words, there was never going to be another Nine Inch Nails tour. And then he started touring under the Trent Reznor name. And that lasted all of like 30 seconds. And he's turning around and going, no, I want to do Nine Inch Nails again because he needs the brand. And
couldn't sell a ticket under the name Trent Reznor.
And I hate it because like some of my favorite, Adrian Belew has helped him a number of times by either performing for him live or doing some stuff in the studio. And I hate the fact that Trent Reznor is willing to abuse his musicians. And now, at this time in his career, I don't know what the deals look like, but I do know in like the Head Like a Hole era, like very early Nine Inch Nails, those guys were getting paid like $100 a night to play. All the musicians. And that was it. They were getting basically nothing. And Trent was, walking away at $2,000 a gig or something. It was just some crazy number. And remember, we're talking about like 1989. So, that's fuckery, if you ask me. But he's not a guy that when people talk about these discussions, the first guy that comes up. Like, I always hear the Billy Corgan thing. I'm not surprised to have you bring him up in this context. But Billy Corgan's a saint compared to Trent Reznor and some of the things he's done. Because at least Billy like had the wherewithal to continue to deal with these people and like make sure that they were at least compensated. I know that I think there were some lawsuits where somebody didn't get paid, but I think that was more of a dispute over pay, not so much. Well, no, you have a contract, but I'm just not going to pay you very much at all anyway. So that was the thing that got me about Trent Reznor is your contract is basically you're going to be paid peanuts, and that's it. It's like what? But I guess with both of those artists, they very much like they were the music. They controlled so much of the music. I know with Billy, that's not necessarily the case. When he put a band together and they did like Gish and stuff like that, and they actually had like musicians on the record and this is the same touring band, those guys did contribute. They were very responsible for the sound of the band at that time. But when Billy decided he wanted to change the sound of the band, what he said was, I can't use the same musicians. And that sucks to a lot of people when they don't understand how that works. But if you look at bands, a classic example is King Crimson, right? So every time King Crimson reinvents itself, what does it do? It hires a whole new bunch of musicians. And really, King Crimson is just Robert Fripp. I mean, it's Robert Fripp playing band leader to a bunch of guys and gals that, then produce the sounds. And so he's been able to morph the sound of the band by selecting different instruments and musicians. And I don't see what Billy Corgan has done as being any different than that. Right. And now he's got everybody back together. So
yeah, I saw that. There was a little while Billy Corgan couldn't sell out a coffee shop.
Well, it's because he wasn't using the Smashing Pumpkins brand.
Well, it wasn't just that. He was and he was not doing the music. He was doing this like psychedelic weird. He was going the Sid Barrett way without the acid.
I don't think the period where he was doing the Zen stuff was as big a colossal flop as people have said it was. It was enough.
Well, this was from him.
Well, but he continued to do it, and if he
because he loved it.
Yeah, I don't.
Again, remember he's
like
got
the same thing.
money.
It's the same thing with Genesis when they talk about the Peter Gabriel era, and they're like, Golden Age of Genesis. We couldn't get people to show up to gigs. Yet you find all these pictures of crowded venues, where they were performing. So it's like, it doesn't really line up with what the band said. And yes, they were definitely not as popular back then. And they probably weren't making very much money. And that's what that's a reflection of. So, yeah, but I don't think it was yes, it certainly was a more underground thing for him. But based on comparing him to a real underground band, or even your local bands, he's making a fuck lot more money doing that than we would be, playing the same sorts of music.
Yeah. I'm just saying that he isn't making nearly the numbers that he.
Sure. But I don't know that he cares. To be honest,
that's what I'm saying. The guy. Well, he was also smart enough to do a lot of investments with his money.
Yes, and then he did Courtney Love, which that was a mistake, but.
He did Courtney Love too. Yeah, that was a big mistake. Yeah, well, anyone who did Courtney Love should have.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a rivalry between Billy and Kurt Cobain.
Was there really?
Yeah,
I thought I heard something
I think
about
that him ending up with Courtney Love for a while was kind of like a big fuck you to the corpse of Kurt Cobain, because it was after his death. But at the same time, it's like. Really? I mean, what's going on here?
That's kind of
maybe it's Axl Rose I'm thinking of, because I know somebody had some really not so kind words for Kurt Cobain when he was alive, and it was. I mean, I think it was Billy Corgan. Now that I think about it, Billy Corgan's still alive. You know,
you got to remember Billy Corgan. His musicality is based very much on his. I guess I can't remember if he said he's got exact pitch or perfect pitch or whatever. And
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and so his musicality is based on certain things like.
You know, I'll be honest with you. He's the one ticket this year that I wish I had bought.
Yeah,
like, I wish I'd gone to see Smashing Pumpkins because I had no idea that tour was going to be what it was. And once I started seeing the YouTube videos come out, I'm like, fuck. Like, I should have gone because that's like reliving my childhood. So
that would have been reliving my 30s.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving right along.
Jim, let's not talk about that anymore.
When did the Smashing Pumpkins get big? What year? 90?
I want to say it's like 91 is when Gish came out.
Okay, so my late 20s, early 30s.
Find out.
When did 1979 come out? The song.
Well, that was later. Yeah. They've been active since 88.
Yeah, I knew that.
So, mainstream was 92 to 94.
Okay, yeah. 30.
And then the album that like made my childhood was that Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
I think that's, if anybody gets any Smashing Pumpkins album, if you had to pick one, that would be the one.
And if you really want to, I'm going to embarrass myself really bad, but I really adore. People can hate me for it.
Yeah.
I know people hate that record, but
I like it. But then again, you know, that was one of the few bands that during that time frame, newer music was one of the few bands that I really enjoyed. Coming from the fact that for me, rock kind of ended at Guns N' Roses, you know, and then
I mean,
it was hard.
You're not wrong. So it started.
Although now I go back and I can listen to some Alice in Chains, I can listen to some Soundgarden.
Alice in Chains is another like. They're definitely a rock band, and so is Soundgarden. But there are other bands from that period. People talk about Meat Puppets and stuff like that. Like that shit doesn't do anything for me.
And I wasn't a Misfits fan. I think that's probably why.
The Misfits are a whole other thing because Misfits are like way earlier.
But they kind of begot the whole. Well, Kurt Cobain at least says, I came from the Misfits."
Yeah, but he also had King Crimson and shit too, and that doesn't mean he was anything like him. Like he was way into that album Red. And like cited it as being his favorite record and all this crap in various places. And I'm like, then why didn't you fucking learn to play your instrument? Because that's the one thing that's on Red is like Starless and Bible Black. You listen to that song, and you tell me that those guys aren't real fucking musicians, you know?
Yeah, I don't think Robert Fripp and
it doesn't really mesh
Kurt
very
Cobain.
well, does it?
I don't hear any. I hear some Misfits. I don't hear Misfits, but I don't hear them.
Well, you might be thinking Jerry Only era Misfits, whereas I'm thinking Danzig era Misfits because I don't hear any fucking Danzig in Nirvana at all.
No, not in the least.
Yeah,
Danzig's a completely different thing. Didn't Danzig go off on his own for a bit?
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff on his own, and of course he had Sam Ain as well. And dude, he's one of my favorite artists, but. He's also
Lynch
one of the craziest ones. I don't think George Lynch has ever done anything with.
Who was it that he worked with?
Dokken.
Don Dokken. I had Dan Danzig, Don Dokken.
Did you see? I think I shared it in the group. Good Time has one of the George Lynch signature guitars.
Oh yeah,
and they made a comment about it, like, "Are you a dream warrior?"
That's pretty cool.
I was like, I kind of am.
I don't know if that guitar would be. Oh, that George Lynch signature would be okay. I don't think I could play a Mr. Bones or Mr. Scary, whatever they call it.
Guitar. No, this is the Kamikaze.
Yeah,
which is really politically correct, right?
Yeah, but I would play it. I don't know if I'd play it on stage, but I'd play it.
No, so he's a guy that I can't get into. Like, I've never been able to get past his tone. I know he's a great
George
player.
Lynch?
Yeah, I know he's a great player.
Incredible player. I cannot stand his tone.
Yeah,
it's like
razor blades. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, terrible. It's so grating and just.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that might be why I don't like Nirvana. No, that's not why I don't like Nirvana.
No, you don't like Nirvana because they use big muffs.
That might be.
I'm so full of shit. They didn't always use big muffs, but
so I was doing some stuff with, as you know, because before we started recording, I was asking you about some stuff with my Sharona today. Because I'm working on that whole. Thank you for
that rousing rendition.
That goes out for a while, and it changes ever so slightly. Because if it was like
it's called minimalism,
yeah. For those of you who remember some great solos, let's talk for a minute about some great long solos that made it on the radio. Freebird made it on the radio. People listen to that, whether you like it or not. 3 guitars doing some really killer stuff in that.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Sweet Child of
November
Mine.
Rain.
Which one? Oh, yeah.
November Rain.
November Rain. All 3 solos on November Rain.
Yeah. Anything Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was killer. You could take. I don't care if you take from Power Slave. I don't care if you pull from even the older stuff like 666 Number the Beast or before. I still Killers, Iron Maiden, good stuff, just incredible stuff. Anything Dave Murray, and of course even when they brought Janet Gers into the band.
Yannick, my friend.
Yannick Gers. Yeah. Adrian, what is it? Adrian
tickets to them next year.
Yeah, I gotta get tickets. They're coming. I think the closest I can get is I want to say it's Richmond area. I'm gonna have to get a hotel. So I've got to get a hotel, but it's gonna be worth it. I gotta do it.
Suck it up and do it.
Yeah, Robert Jackson. Thank you, Robert Jackson from Robert's
Guitar Dungeon.
Posted to me.
He's got soulmates too.
He's going, but he's there in the Indianapolis area, and it's going to be right in Indianapolis. So yeah, he's in the cell. So he's going to be cool. Maybe we should maybe you should go with Robert.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, it'd be a cool show.
I got a lot of Maiden fans that live like right near me.
Yeah.
So some of them are fans of the show. And some of them are fans of the show. Like basically the guys I'm going to Cannibal Corpse with. So we might just have to make that happen.
Yep. So
other extended solos.
My Sharona was a big extended solo that you could sing and hum, and when you think about of course Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, I think it's overplayed.
But I'm just saying that it was one of those ones that the radio couldn't just and it's good enough.
What about Comfortably Numb?
Comfortably Numb. But do you know that was at least a few years ago? That was the #1 requested Pink Floyd song ever.
Yeah,
in the United States.
I know it's like the most overplayed thing too. I have heard Europa, which is Carlos Santana. I've heard that played on the radio before.
Oh, Black Magic or
Europa,
Black Magic Woman.
No, Europa, very much. Like if I had to pick one, that would be the one. Technically, Light My Fire. I mean, there's a really long fucking guitar solo in that one. It's only like 3 minutes long.
What's the other one? What's the other big one of theirs? Is there a long solo in Love Me Two Times?
No, they're pretty short. Like most of his solos are pretty short and concise. I guess Whole Lot of Love.
I know when he was asked to join the band, he was like an acoustic player, and he kind of jumped in there, and it was like, "Now, no, you need to play an electric."
Whole Lot of Love, probably, and then Cemetery Gates. I've heard that played on some of our local rock stations. Yep,
Cemetery Gates. Oh well, okay. Well, then we got to talk Van Halen. One of the only
Eruption.
Yeah. Eruption. That's what I was going to say. One of the only guitar true instrumentals that I heard on the radio. Of course, they always played it with back to back with Jamie crying, but
Stranglehold.
Oh, just about everything that
their
was
fucking one note is like seriously like 20 seconds long. Yeah.
Stranglehold. Detroit Rock City. But right along with the Nuge, everything by the Nuge.
Any of the Randy Rhoads stuff.
Oh.
Because those songs have long fucking solos. Like Mr. Crowley. Think about how long that guitar solo is. It's long. Yep. Over the Mountain.
Over the Mountain.
Another perfect one. Yeah. What about Aqualung from Jethro Tull?
Oh yeah, Aqualung, my friend. Yeah.
There's a long solo in that. And then I'm just going. Actually, I'm gonna give away my secret. I have Guitar World up right now, and it's the 50 greatest solos from Guitar World. So I'm just scrolling through and looking for long ones that they play on the radio.
So one of the songs that was what's that? Time. Pink Floyd. You know, one of the another one, Money. But you know, because after the sax solo, that
Cliffs of Dover.
What's that?
Cliffs of Dover. I've heard that on the radio.
Oh yeah, Cliffs of Dover.
There ain't any fucking words in that one.
No, that's another great one of the few instrumentals that really got any airplay.
Highway Star, any of the Deep Purple stuff, because they all have extended solos, and of course, Smoke on the Water has a pretty long extended solo there. Not just guitar, but also organ in those songs.
You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yeah. Layla. So the point is that for those of you that think that all guitar solos are short, you might want to rethink that for a minute.
Yeah. And I just want to say that the guitar solo, the long solo for My Sharona, written out is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, most of it's 16th or 32nd notes.
And yes, and very much of it goes.
Yeah, that's probably like a full page right there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 6 pages. So 6 pages typed of tablature and notes. Because I got the melody line on top in standard notation on the tablature at the bottom. 6 pages. That is a killer length for a pop song. I'm talking about a pop song though. My Sharona is one of the few pop songs like that. You know the thing that killed me about. So let's talk a bit about your favorite solos because Guitar World obviously they put these favorite solos in there and Kurt Cobain's gets in there. What the hell did Kurt Cobain do? I
didn't see Kurt Cobain in here.
Well, they had one in their greatest 100 solos.
No, I think he was in greatest 100 guitar players of all time.
No, it was solos. It was Smells Like Teen Spirit. I went, what the fuck is this solo in that song? It Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's what I said. But it's in there. I'll have to send that to you. But anyway, this is one of those underrated solos. But you take
Jim fell for the clickbait.
Anything, of course. You take anything that comes from Lynyrd Skynyrd. The thing I want to say about any of these solos, I don't care which one you pick, whether it's one of your favorites or which my favorites, whatever. What is the one thing about that solo that you can say this is why I love that solo?
For me, it's that you can remember it. That you can remember it.
Yeah,
like that it's an integral part of the song, and that you have to be able to have it in your memory.
Yep. It has to be there. The song, just like a verse, is missing something if it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing, whether you think it's overplayed or not, Comfortably Numb, both those solos take you to a different place. My Sharona, the solo takes you to another place. It takes you into that insanity because it kind of starts slow. And then it speeds up and speeds up and speeds up and becomes more and more erratic.
Can we just talk about that solo, the fact that they did the solo with a Les Paul and an AC30?
I know, right?
Like, what the fuck?
No pedals.
Who the hell decided that one? We're just going to use a Les Paul and do an AC30. Fuck it.
That's a classic. And there's
all the AC30 guys in the group are going, you fucking idiot. To me right now, like, you fucking idiot.
And the only thing he had pre-written when he went in to do this song was that
Yeah. He just made that shit up on the spot.
Yeah, that G thing with the C and B flat. That was all he had written. And then the solo goes where? it goes to the key. It goes to C major. So it comes from G major and goes into C major. Just a weird transition. That full was at fourth. Well,
it's a fifth if you look at it from the perspective of C.
Yeah.
Which I think is the way he approached that, was like, well, it would be a fourth of G or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, those are relative keys. They're very close. They only have one sharp and flat different. So you're only, there's not a whole lot of difference in those modes. So it just kind of worked.
Yeah.
I use a lot of, if I'm working in A minor or C, I'll go to G or E minor like all day long, because they're literally, the only difference is F sharp.
Well, all I was doing was talking about how the band goes from playing G, C, and B flat.
Yeah, I mean, that had to be worked out when they were working on it in the studio. Like, they were playing it and they're like, we need to do something with the solo to pep it up a little bit. And they're like, well, how about we try this?
Yeah, how about bringing it up to C? Because bringing it up that full fifth brings it into a whole new feel. You know what I mean?
No,
so anyway,
fourth, but
yeah, I think that the one thing that so I've been watching a lot of YouTube of folks in different communities that play these solos, and they post them up, and it's like, I want to say to them nicely, but how do you tell somebody you're not even in tune? I mean, if you're going to do something and post it, which I have no problem with, at least try to tune your guitar before you start playing. And then the other thing that kills me, I mean, you can make mistakes. We should all make mistakes. That's
part of the learning process.
Exactly. But the two things you should think about are being in tune and at least trying to be in the same key. If it's one thing if you blow a few notes, even if you blow a line, but if you're the whole time like you're playing one song, the backing track's playing another, that's when I go, you really should listen back.
I'm just laughing because Jim's like talking about blowing a few notes, and I'm thinking about like the last couple of times that I've done anything on like Facebook or whatever. Like, a couple of notes, fuck. I mean,
I've blown a whole freaking bar.
And the dumb part is like,
hey, wait a minute.
That's not me being a bad player. Like, that's just me learning something. When I'm actually playing something I know, that doesn't happen.
No.
So anyway,
I think that's the hardest thing is that
I just want to say I just want to give about it.
Yeah, but you got to have it. Yeah, but you got to have you got to have two things. You got to have a sense of humor about it, and you've got to have a sense of, okay, I did that. I recognize it.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you get better is to see it like played back, and then you go, all right. Next time I need to try to work on it. But for me, like, it's not even so much that I'm trying to demonstrate something that I don't fully know how to do yet and haven't used it in a lot of context. In 6 months, you come back to me and look at some of these techniques I've been learning in the last couple of weeks, and they're going to be in a different place. Yeah, and so you're going to be like, damn.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about your movement through Chris Brooks' book.
So I'm on. So the book is basically broken down to 4 different technique sections. So I've gotten through all of the single string stuff. I'm trying to use his method outline, which is like, do this all for a week. But I don't have, I'm rarely getting enough time to do it. So what I'm doing is I'm doing it over like 3 weeks. So I'm on chapter 3 now. So I've done the single string, I've done the ascending stuff, and I've done descending 4-note patterns. Now I'm starting to do descending piccato, which is 3-note patterns mixed with 4 notes. And that's where shit gets really really difficult, because then you got to start like thinking on the fly, is like, is this pattern 3 notes or 4 notes? Right. Because that's going to determine how you pick.
Yep.
And
because you're working on the economy part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get to the point where it's kind of like doing it on its own for me, where I've done it enough now that my brain just kind of says, okay, so this is going to be a 4-note pattern, so I'll just add the extra picking motion in. But it's not automatic yet, and it'll get there. I don't really know that I'm going to use the piccato all that much. I think it's an interesting technique to have. It certainly does make you like more efficient. I don't think it sounds as good as picking the notes independently, which I can do. A lot of this material, like, I've gotten good enough at doing alternate picking that, yeah, it's not perfect, but I mean, I can get through it and make it sound very like disconnected and like it should be staccato.
I think that the idea is that you're putting another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah. When I'm exposing myself to shit that I wasn't necessarily aware of before.
Well, I blew a whole bar earlier, so I guess exposing yourself is a completely different thing. But on another note,
Jim, I'm gonna need to get a fucking lawyer for the damage control for you.
On another note, what I was getting at is that people when they look at playing, this was one of the things that I was getting to when I was talking about people playing, in tune and stuff. One of the things that makes a solo good when you're soloing is knowing when to give air, So kind of listen to yourself breathing and kind of go, okay, you know what? If I imagine myself,
absolutely suck at this. So
yes, and I was going to say that.
Fuck you, Jim.
No, I don't. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that if you think about the solos that do this, it's not that they stop. It's just that they slow down to give the person air, unless there's a reason that you want it. It's frantic. It's like, I can't breathe. I'm being so frantic about it. But to overuse that,
it's just like diction and in sentences. Right. When you speak, you don't always use the same long sentence patterns, because then nobody would ever be able to fucking listen to you, and they'd all be asleep. There was a, and I'm gonna use this because I know this is a real world example that everybody in this group can understand because we all speak, right? I was in college and I got a sheet from a professor with sentence patterns on it, and it was a style class. So the whole idea was that you could use these sentence patterns, and if you use one of the 7 patterns, like every 5 sentences, then your work will improve dramatically, and it does. And a lot of the things that they get into is like, nobody uses short sentences anymore. So, like, end a paragraph with something like, David lied, and that would be that right. would be a sentence unto itself. Like, we don't think about that stuff, and our right. brains aren't designed to work that way, and they're certainly not cultured that way in our school systems. So it's just, you gotta kind of like take a step back and think about it when you're structuring something. Now, my problem is doing this on the fly, because a lot of my stuff tends to be pretty improvised. That can be a challenge, is to like insert that, while you're playing it. But
right. And right. During improvisation, it's just like anything else. It's comedy too. Comedy has a rhythm.
Right.
Speech has a rhythm. Writing has a rhythm to be effective. Mm-hmm. And that's where, like when you and I talk now, we do it naturally when we talk back and forth. I take some time, you take some time, I take some time. And by doing that makes things a little more interesting, I hope, to our listeners. But if it doesn't,
they're all fucked.
Yeah, so screwed. But we have a little bit of that. We're like, you break in like that, we get a little comic relief, and we do that. Any movie, I mean, if you watch a movie, even a horror movie, it's not slash, 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 slash all the way.
The only time where the action is like from start to finish in a film, there's 2 times. One is Fury Road from Mad Max, and then the other one is a porn.
I don't even know about that. All right.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what the fuck kind of porn you've been watching. Shit, you like all them dry parts where nothing happens.
Let's drive to the store.
Jim's watching log jamming right now.
It looks like you need a massage.
Oh my God, do we really just talk about pornography on this podcast? This is amazing balls.
Hey, you know what? The more amazing thing about porn is it's a $4.7 billion industry that only has like 1 or 2 people looking at it. That's what I think. Everybody looks at it. But anyway,
kind of like our podcast, huh?
That's like Kiss, the band Kiss. A band that makes millions and millions of dollars that has
nobody
no
cares.
Yeah, no one likes them.
Yeah.
But on the to kind of sum that up, all I'm saying is that a good solo is something you can sing, even if it's a short one. Think about some of your favorite riffs folks. Think about some of your favorite solos. Put them in the podcast. To get a chance, maybe post yourself playing it. It's a fun thing to have those in your pocket. Obviously, those are the things you go to when you sit down at Guitar Center or you go to wherever and you try out a guitar. You're going to try it doing what? Doing what you play, right?
Yeah, yep.
And you may have a go-to riff. You may have a go-to key that you play in, right?
Yep.
It's going to be something that you feel, because you don't know if you're comfortable with the guitar if you're not playing something comfortable. Because if you're trying to play uncomfortably, you don't know if it's the guitar that's being uncomfortable or what you're doing that's
uncomfortable. Maybe you're just numb.
You could be comfortably numb or uncomfortably numb. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been Jim.
And I've been David.
This has been
those practical guitarists.
Without any rhythm.
Yeah, not this time.